These are pretty good too for seeds.
Berries. Wow, look at these flowers. A lot of room here. Let's go see the water. And the boys get a butterfly flag. Get a polka dot.
Okay, this one is called hedge parsley. It's in the carrot family. That does not mean it's edible though. There are two plants in the carrot family that are deadly poisons, poison hemlock and water hemlock, in addition to many other plants that contain poisons that will paralyze you. Plants similar to this were used by the ancient Greeks to execute Socrates. So be real careful whenever looking at carrots. Hopefully we can find a wild carrot and I can show you the difference between them.
What's that called again?
This one's hedge parsley. It's not really clear whether it's edible or not. It's not in the same genus as poison hemlock, but it doesn't state in the books whether it's edible or not. So avoid it.
Is the wild carrot, does it have the fan, the little feathery?
Yes.
Okay, we have some up. Great.
I know what we can do. We can have them.
That's the one that I used the black seeds. Feely sage. In the mint family, many of the mints can be used as teas or flavoring and also have medicinal value.
That's sage.
If you crush the leaves and smell them, it'll have a minty odor to it.
Is it edible?
Yes. Use as tea or flavoring.
What about like the juniper berries over there under this?
Yeah, juniper berries. You can use some species of juniper berries like for flavoring for wild game. In West Texas we got a red juniper berry that's very good. These ones, however, have a really turpentine taste, so consuming a lot of them would cause really upset stomachs.
You talking about this plant, Nathan?
What does?
Yeah, this is, we saw it up there, but this is the common plantain, introduced from Europe, but it's very widespread. It's totally taken over a lot of areas. The greens are edible, very flavorful, like some of the darker lettuces from the store. The seed heads you can also strip off when they turn dark brown and are crunchy. And the seed is really small, but it can add to seed cakes.
What's the tea used for?
I don't know about the tea for the plantain. I do know you can crush the leaves and use those as a poultice for stings or burns.
If you get poison ivy, you can also put it on your to get that itch away out of you.
Here's a little flower. I don't know if this one's edible or not, but it's called frog fruit, in case you want to look it up. It's pretty common in lawns.
Are the junipers flammable?
Flammable? Not really. And you could use them as venison flavoring, but just don't overdo it. They'll give you a stomach ache. Here's another one that's in the mint family. You crush the leaves of this one and it will smell like a lemon balm. It's a really good smell.
What's it called?
You said this was edible, I think?
Yeah. Okay, here's another one. Wow, we're finding edible plants everywhere.
We can live a long time, right?
Yeah. This one is called greenbrier. The scientific genus is Smilax. It's got these little thorns on it, so you can distinguish it from other vines. It's a very brittle vine. If you try to break it, it'll snap. Except when you have fresh green shoots coming up in the spring, they're much thicker than this. They're very flexible, very tender, and they can be used like asparagus. They can be eaten raw, and it's a wonderful, wonderful flavor. One of the first plants that'll come up in the spring that's edible. I saw some wood sorrel down here too.
Oh, that?
Where's the wood sorrel?
Right here.
Can't find that.
Is this the wood?
No, that's the greenbrier. I know I saw one.
What if it's under your
Here we go, here we go. This is a small version though. This is wood sorrel, scientific genus Oxalis. This is one that you don't want to consume in ridiculously large quantities because it does have oxalic acid, which is responsible for the tart flavor. It's not clover. It looks like clover, but it's not. It has these little pod-like fruits. If you consume too much of it, it will inhibit the absorption of calcium. But it's a great flavor, great garnish for salads, and something to flavor your salads. It's nibble on. Wood sorrel.
I do it. I think I do it. I may do it too often.
Now, how do you distinguish? Want to tell them how you distinguish if it's poisonous or not? Want to tell them?
One way for figuring out edible plants in a situation that's a true survival situation, do experiments like this at home, is to Use several different steps to test whether a plant is edible. Put some on your skin and see if there's any allergic reaction after a few hours. You don't want to put a big handful of poison ivy in your mouth, obviously. Next, nibble a little bit. See how it tastes. If it's really bitter, has a really unbearable flavor, it's probably poisonous. That's one of the key features of a lot of poisonous plants that have like glycosides, cyanide type compounds in them and other things. If that's okay, several hours later, you can chew up a little bit, put it underneath your tongue. Your tongue has tiny blood vessels, so it will quickly absorb some of the toxins, and you'll feel the effect almost immediately. And then spit it out. Always spit it out right away. If you were to swallow the same amount, it may be absorbed over a slower amount of time, and you wouldn't notice it, so by the time it's too late. If you no effects then, eat a very small amount of it and wait a full day. Wait for it to be digested. And if there's no ill effects, one day later, you can try a larger amount. Now there's some plants you don't even want to experiment like this, like Datura, and hopefully we'll find one. It has a chemical called scopolamine. 4 milligrams is the lethal dosage, and it causes respiratory paralysis. Hopefully we'll find that plant today. But you can distinguish it by crushing the leaves. You smell a very bad smell.
What about finding animals, what they eat?
Oh yeah, another way for identifying edible plants, you can look in the scat and the droppings of animals. Sometimes they'll eat fruits and the seeds will pass through unchanged in the droppings, and you can look for those fruits that have those type of seeds, and there's a good chance they'll be edible. Now, some animals like goats can eat poisonous plants with seeming impunity. His goats ate a Mount Laurel bush and lived. How they did that, I don't know. But some animals can eat poisonous plants. Some of them will eat clays that have compounds that will help neutralize the toxins. But just because the animal eats it doesn't mean it's edible for you. I would eat things that are eaten by like maybe squirrels, raccoons, wild pigs. Some of those might be edible by people.
You mentioned something about this one. It smells like a balm, like mint.
Is that the same plant?
This? Yes, like lemon mint.
That's a mint too. I don't know which species it is though.
So can we eat it? This?
You could probably nibble on it. I wouldn't eat it yet.
Can we smell?
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh yeah, you don't have to get done. You have a baby on your shoulder.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, monarchs are poisonous. Maybe they get from the toxins. This is one of the most deadly plants in Texas. What does that look like? Something that grows in your garden.
Carrots.
Carrot. This is not though. This is poison hemlock. Several distinguishing features. One, on the umbel flower clusters, carrots have like these feathery things that come out from the side. Now some of the celeries may not, some of the parsley-like plants. Also, if you look closely, there's small purple specks in the stem. Also, the stem is smooth. The wild carrot that we have has little bristly hairs on the stem. The stem is also hollow. Avoid this plant. This plant has a toxin called conine, and like I said, it causes paralysis. And as few as like 8 leaves can kill an adult. Avoid this plant.
So would you, there's a caterpillar on it, you guess you wouldn't eat those either?
Don't eat the caterpillar either. If you see a caterpillar eating a poisonous plant, brightly colored like that with a bright yellow, probably poisonous.
That's a monarch.
You know what? Maybe not.
Nathan, was that a monarch?
The swallowtail.
Swallowtail?
The family that this plant is in is largely poisonous. This is the nightshade family. Now a lot of our plants that we grow in our gardens, tomatoes, jalapenos, potatoes, eggplants, are all in the nightshade family. Eggplant flowers look very similar to this. But avoid most of the nightshades. They have a compound called solanine, which is similar to the compounds in Datura, and it's really bad for you. In small quantities can be lethal. So avoid plants that look like this. Yeah, we have several different kinds that are going to have these blue, purplish flowers. So have to be a star shape, and all the petals are kind of attached together. Here. From the prickly pear, the new pads, when they don't have these big flower petals, is a kind of cabbage, and the fruit called a tuna in Spanish, it'll turn bright red or dark purple when it's ripe, And it's really good. It's a good, refreshing thing, especially if you don't have any water. You can squeeze a bunch of them. They're mostly water, and make some great tasting juice out of them. In Mexico, they also crush up the seeds and use them to make something called queso de tuna, which is kind of like a cheese-like substance.
Stay away from ants. In case you don't know what an ant looks like, these
Very
are
high in
ants.
carbohydrates and protein.
Not related to your uncle.